An elite military unit is sent to the quarantine zone to rescue a scientist capable of developing drugs to save humanity. A riot broke out in a high-security prison with the participation of 600 prisoners, one of whom James Round managed to escape. Citizens are allowed to approach him. But it wasn't just rebellion. All the wounded people who managed to be taken to the hospital became monsters. Lieutenant Charles is engaged in controlling the epidemic of the virus. Humanity is under threat of extinction. Charles gathers a detachment of soldiers to tell them that there was a riot in the prison 3 weeks ago. James was the first carrier of the disease. Jovan helped him escape. No one knows where he is now. The second patient was a hostage. She tried to escape. She was bitten by James. Now the whole territory is lost. Only protected borders keep the disease at bay. In 72 hours, the entire zone will be erased. Dr. Julian is hiding inside. The authorities believe that there is a connection between his experiments and the epidemic. If so, only he can help them. Intelligence has identified 4 possible locations where the doctor may be hiding. So begins a 72-hour mission. Special forces disembark at the port. The whole city seems empty. There is not a single threat. Only when the detachment reached the first point, a whole horde appeared, and from all sides at once. The soldiers open fire. Fire on the position. Everything goes into play. Brute force, acrobatic rolls, and well-coordinated work. But there were too many enemies. Captain Marcus gave the order to retreat. They leave through a single empty street. At the same time, experiments on zombies are being conducted at the headquarters. Scientists realized that there were remnants of memory preserved in them. But even after 31 days, they are no closer to developing a vaccine. 61 hours to destruction. The squad finds military equipment. This reduces the time to find a doctor. The captain warns that they don't have endless bullets. You need to choose your goal wisely. The first point turns out to be fake. On the way to the second point, the squad notices a gang of looters who are robbing houses. Seeing that one of them took a weapon, Rodrigo liquidates the bandit. 2 girls ask them for help, but for the soldiers there is nothing more important than their mission. The second point is a multi-story building. Music was playing inside, which made the soldiers think that there were survivors there. But these were zombies who acted according to the remnants of memory. Special forces are clearing the corridors. Jacob hears the enemy behind the wall and just breaks through it with his hand. To save bullets, the squad moves into melee. In this case, Simon had 2 katanas. In the heat of battle, they didn't notice the trap. There is an explosion. A gap forms in the wall, and new zombies run out from there. They surround Jacob. Even his wild strength won't help here. He throws the zombies from side to side, but still gets bitten. The squad wants to abandon him. Marcus hopes that the doctor is here somewhere and can still help them. However, there was no one in the right apartment. Jacob liquidates himself. 48 hours to destruction. Charles says that the city is dangerous. Not only infected survivors were divided into gangs and took whole neighborhoods. Everyone who penetrates them automatically becomes enemies. Ivan, the leader of the strongest gang. He was informed that the soldiers attacked them, and he gives the order to find them. It's too late, and Marcus decides to make a stop. There was a recording of Dr. Julian on the computer. He says that an infected detachment of soldiers tried to attack him. They grab all the non-sick and take them away somewhere. The recording was made 36 hours ago. In reality, 2 girls find him. A new day is coming. The soldiers buried their friend and continue the search. They get to the 3rd zone. Special forces and see infected soldiers who can use equipment. The squad tries to hide, but Perry is the least lucky. The zombies found him and pushed him into the car, where other survivors were sitting. Scientists have noticed that every day the intelligence of zombies increases, which is very remarkable and extremely unexpected. The zombie soldiers had a whole camp. To Perry's surprise, a scientist and 2 girls were kept here. He passes this find to his squad. Marcus asks not to provoke the zombies. They go to their aid. Special forces pretend to be zombies, simultaneously eliminating infected people who were guarding people. However, the scientist refuses to cooperate, even shooting at them. They twist it anyway, and the girls ask not to leave them. Simon can't leave people and persuades the captain to unite. No sooner had they gone outside, as the zombie soldiers went to the storm. In this turmoil, Simon is bitten. The same thing happened to Rachel, the eldest of the girls. Simon stays here to detain the zombies, giving the squad an opportunity to escape. 37 hours to destruction. The unit goes into the two survivors, who were traveling in the direction of the refugee camp, and ask for help to bring them there. When suddenly Frederick liquidates them, which the other soldiers didn't like, but he doesn't care about their opinion. Between them, the fight begins. Why are Ivan's people watching? After a couple of minutes, the bandits open fire, eliminating Roman. The soldiers are retreating to the only nearest building, in a high-security prison. According to the evidence, it is clear that the doctor was experimenting here. Julian says that a few years ago, he was a member of the team for the study of genetic experiments. When the funding ran out, the military came out to them with a very generous offer. They needed weapons to gain an advantage over the enemy. They wanted to get medicines to increase the physical capabilities of the soldiers. But because of their impatience, all security tests were postponed. Unlike the others, James didn't mutate. They didn't understand why. It turned out he was immune. When the riot started, they let him out. The plan was to distribute antibodies, but all had failed. A new day is coming. Rodrigo and Kira stole the doctor. It turns out that Kira has become infected, and Rodrigo wants to find medicines for her. The doctor admits that there is no cure. Their argument is interrupted by bandits. Under a barrage of bullets, the soldiers jump into the car and drive out. 29 hours to destruction. Rodrigo and Kira separate from the group, as they do not want to infect them. The remnants of the squad are sent to the evacuation site. There, the doctor hands Marcos a notebook. Inside are the answers to all questions. They'll come in handy if something happens to him. He is also obliged to take the girl out of here. The doctor's fears turned out to be real. Frederick was a traitor and worked for Charles, who wanted to eliminate the doctor from the very beginning. This is revenge for his son. Moreover, Harry was also following Charles' secret orders, as he threatened his parents. Frederick realizes that he will not be taken away from here and attacks the soldiers. Marcus tries to help him, which is why Frederick covers the captain with his body. Zombies come running at the noise. The survivors escape to safety, where Frederick begs the captain to show the world the truth, so that their sacrifice will not be in vain. With such wounds, Frederick is no longer a tenant, which is why he remains to detain zombies. They do not attack all together, but arrange an analog of the ring. Frederick takes away the nunchucks from the zombies, thereby increasing his combat power. When the zombies realize that one-on-one is not an option, help appears, sending Frederick to the next world. 19 hours to destruction. Marcus cannot forgive Poor for his betrayal and abandons him, after which he notices a bite in the girl. And she has not yet turned. A little later, Perry finds a squad of survivors, just like Ivan Marcus. Already at the base, Ivan notices the girl's medallion, given by her mother, and realizes that she is James' daughter. That's why she didn't become a zombie. Once Marcus had helped her survive, he was no longer their enemy. Even offers a place in their gang. Marcus asks to see the way out of the quarantine zone. Ivan points to the nearest point, but it is carefully guarded. There will be armed survivors along the way. Perhaps they will help them. Since Ivan, his people will not go there. Even if they survive, they will still be imprisoned. There is no life outside for them. 9 hours to destruction. The couple finds a refugee base. He tells their head Miranda that the military will soon destroy the city. For the sake of a chance of survival, she has to team up with Marcus. 200 survivors are fighting their way through hordes of zombies, but even they would have died if Ivan hadn't changed his mind and come to their aid. Still, Marcus was bitten, but he somehow retained his thinking. He gets to the checkpoint in a zombie state, where he arranges a machete with Charles. Ivan comes out the winner, but Perry still has to eliminate him. The film ends with a scene like Perry, Miranda and the girl come out of the quarantine zone.